Aren't mine furry and purple enough? Oh, don't do that. Don't waste your money on me. Huh? Well, I could Photoshop it for you. Sure, I'll be happy to do that. Yes.
Do you ever find that any of the violence in that in some of the anime conflicts with your Christian values? And if
I love that question. Is it too early for us to get a little deep? Did you hear the question? She said, do you ever find that any of the violence or some of the themes in anime conflict with your beliefs? Absolutely.
So how do you get
Obviously.
past that?
Okay, so she says, so how do I deal with that? A couple of different ways. Number one, you guys will never know how many shows I've refused to be in. For every show that I've been in, there are shows that I went into audition for and I'm like, you know what, I'm sorry, I can't do this. And I left. And to the point even where a lot of directors won't even ask me to audition for a show because they know what I try to believe and stand, what I do believe and what I try to stand up for. So they'll literally call me in and go, or 2 weeks after they cast a show, they'll say, hey dude, I'm sorry, I mean, I know you know we had auditions for this show, but I knew you would want to be in this show. There was one show that I didn't know anything about, and I heard the director was working on it. The director's a friend of mine. I'm like, dude, it was a love, man. How come I didn't get to even audition for your show? And we were walking down the sidewalk at Austin Convention, Ushikan, and we were walking down the sidewalk to dinner, and I'm like, dude, why didn't you let me audition for this? And he stopped and he looked at me and he goes, trust me, Vic, you don't want to be a part of this show.
What show was it?
I won't say. Because there are other people that are here that weren't, and that's their choice. So that's my first answer, is that there are a lot of shows that I refuse to be a part of. Many of you know Sayuki. What you may not know is that Stephen Foster originally wanted me to play Gojo. But when he called me in for auditions, he said, now Vic, I want you to play this character, but he swears a lot. And I said, well, ooh. And so I looked over the script and I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. And he goes, okay, we'll play this other one. Fugaji, play him. So, Full Metal Panic, Kurt Weber. Kurt Weber was supposed to swear an awful lot more than he did. And when we got to the very first episode, there was some line written that was just profanity, and I looked at the director and I'm like, dude, this is not necessary. I can communicate that I'm ticked off just as clearly without having to resort to profanity, and you can too, everybody. So he's like, well, show me if you can. So I did a line. And he goes, that was good, okay, moving on. From that point on, every time there was something in the script where Kurt Weber was like, Jesus, you know, that kind of thing, I'm like, I didn't even have to say anything. The director would go, yeah, okay, you don't have to say that, let's say this instead. That's my first answer. Second answer to that, I'm an actor. I'm not necessarily the person I play, clearly.
Ed's an atheist.
Ed, I don't think Ed's an atheist. That's a whole different discussion. I think Ed's very agnostic. I think Ed's a very bitter little boy for all that has happened to him.
That's a fair point.
Oh, I mean it. I do mean this too. I mean that how many of you guys know people in your life that have lost someone, had great tragedy, and everybody knows what happens? What do? They shake their fist at the heavens. And they scream out, how could you let this happen? Where are you? I don't even think you're real. Everybody goes through that when they deal with tragedy. And it's no different. Loses his dad, deserts the family. Mom dies when they're children. He tries to help get his mom back and almost kills his only remaining relative. Talk about guilt and pain and anguish and bitterness. And certainly no one else is to blame, so hey, God's always been a great scapegoat. Let's blame him. And so I don't personally don't necessarily think that he's atheist. I think he's very angry and very agnostic. But let me get back. That's a perfect case in point. I'm not Ed, but I can play Ed because I'm an actor. Actors play a character that they are not. That's the whole point of acting. If I only played characters that I am, I would have a very short list of credits, as we all would. As so would Greg Ayers, and so would Monica Rial. I mean, all of us. I mean, here's the point. Here's the example I love to make. Even in a Christmas, even in a church play, somebody's got to play Judas. Can't tell the story without Judas. Now, does that mean that Deacon Fred here, who's been in the church 40 years and is the greatest man you've ever met, is Judas? No, he's playing a character for the sake of the story. And that's what actors do. I certainly do not concur with, and you know what, anybody who knows me knows that. Anybody who knows me knows that I don't swear, I don't do drugs, I don't, you know, I don't drink, you know, I don't get plastered, and I don't, you know, I'm not that kind of person, and they know what I believe. I'm pretty open about my beliefs. So whenever you see me playing a character, you immediately know, well, that's certainly not Vic, that's the character. And the third thing that I would say about that is this. Let me encourage you guys. They're just cartoons. No. Listen to me. I'm not putting them down. I'm putting them in perspective. I love Star Wars. Okay? I love Darth Vader. I can enjoy Star Wars and know full well that there is not really a galaxy far, far away with TIE fighters and Death Stars and X-Wings. I know there isn't, but it doesn't keep me from enjoying it. That's called perspective. You can enjoy it, but you don't wrap your life around it. You don't build your values on it. Okay? And let me encourage you guys. Take things that are good and build your values and your life on those things. And you'll have a great life, and the people around you will love you. Don't embrace dark elements and crummy, underbelly, guttural things. They may be there for part of the story. They may be there as a reason to propel the story forward or as a motivation for a character, but they're not meant to pattern your life after. Okay?